As you are aware, we have submitted a representation to Director General of Indian Council for Medical Research, ICMR, and to the Secretary, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare Department, proposing a protocol involving vitamin C, vitamin D3, and melatonin as a sustainable, cost-effective, and a viable alternative in controlling and combating COVID-19 pandemic. This protocol was submitted to ICMR on 2nd November with the support of more than 25 scientific articles and studies conducted worldwide. Many successful treatments done abroad are also cited in the representation. This meeting is arranged exclusively to brief Ms. Karuna Gopal the contents of the proposed protocol and its effectiveness, and to share all the experience of the doctors with COVID-19 treatment within our country so that she could confidently escalate to the higher levels concerned.
Already taking HCQ and ivermectin as a preventive dose, but still on the 4th day of this exposure, I developed little fever. And I started myself on an initial complete treatment with full HCQ, ivermectin, and all other things, anticoagulation, and everything else. But exactly 5 days after this, when I was just sitting in the evening, I developed a little bit of breathlessness. Went to see my SpO2, it was 85. I took my oxygenator, which was there in my house, which I was ready for it. And started, and slowly I realized I'm needing, my oxygen requirement is rising. Then I knew something is wrong with me. I need a hospital support. And that's exactly when I phoned up my physician colleagues, and they said, and they pulled me into the hospital. We immediately started with the methylprednisolone and the whole remdesivir and the whole long, very next day I got some convalescent plasma also, very next day. So that was the 8th day of my developing symptoms, and this happened, and we were treating 1 day in the hospital, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days in the hospital. Then I realized what was happening is I was worsening. Every day I'm worsening from all the frontiers. I'm not feeling good. I'm not able to get up freely. I am breathless. My SpO2 is not rising. So definitely I knew I've been involved at more than one part, because my chest involvement was only 10 by 25 by CT scan. So I knew I had more than one part involvement, and I'm 65, okay? So obviously these parts involvement could be definitely there. So this is what happened. And I knew I was bad, and everybody, my whole team was worried now. So we were discussing, planning. They are sitting with me. I had a nice team who looked after me. I had a nice hospital which looked after me. They were all involved in my treatment. My CM and HM used to phone up the hospital every day to find how am I feeling.
All right.
And at this stage, then I was also in touch with my other teams outside, Dr. Leni, Dr. Anande. First 2 days, Dr. Leni Anande said that tell them to start vitamin C in a high dose. They didn't listen to. Finally, Leni told me, you are dying if you don't start vitamin C. At that time, Dr. Anande spoke to my team, and he initially tried to convince them, and he blankly told them, you please start vitamin C in this dose, this protocol to Dr. Naik. I will sign for it, or I'll ask Dr. Naik to sign for it. You don't have to worry about what happens to it. We will take that responsibility. And then Dr. Leni, Goa did not have this type of vitamin C in our market because no one ever used it. My team was never aware about this. They said ICMR protocol. For ICMR protocol, maximum high dose is 1.5 grams. So then finally we decided, the team decided that they took my consent and then said we will start. At 8 o'clock, it was almost 9th day, 7, 8, 9, 10th day. At 8 o'clock, I was bad. 8 o'clock, we started with vitamin C, 25 grams, okay, along with glutathione. Second dose was at 2 a.m. in the morning, and the third dose was 8 a.m. in the next morning. By the time third dose was going, I could feel myself I was improving. And I said, yes, I am improving. And that's exactly what happened. And from then onwards, I had no problem. I took it only for 5 days. Okay. And then I left for home, and every day I was improving. And my steroid, initially I started with 40 milligrams of methylprednisolone. On the second or third, they said this was raised to 120 milligram 8 hourly. Such a toxic dose of steroid I took. My muscle degenerated almost. My weight was reduced. In that 15 days, I lost 8 kilos of weight. My thyroid stopped working. Practically, I knew I was going. So that was the situation. That was the dramatic change which occurred. I had also not used vitamin C in this dose prior to this. This is what convinced me so thoroughly. And that is what made me write down. I said, let people know my COVID story in short. And I wrote the lessons out of it at every step. What are the lessons we have to learn? So this has taught me a lot of things, though I was studying COVID right from the beginning. My hospitalization gave me a different time, absolutely a different insight into the sickness. And that's exactly what I want the country to take over. After my few write-ups, I've got more than 100 calls. And some people have started using it. Some people have already shown good results. Till now, I don't think anybody who's come and told me we are not getting the result that you have promised. And that's exactly what is happening.
It's a commendable thing.
With my knowledge, with my understanding of medicine, I would blankly say this is the best thing that we have in our hands today to fight a disease like COVID. And I would repeat here for the sake of politicians, no person with COVID should die.
Yeah.
And yes. I'm committed to this statement of mine. Nobody should die. I'll make a small write-up also where people tend to lose their life. Yeah. And if we take care of those 4 or 5 things, nobody with COVID should die. India can have a zero COVID death. We can have it. All that we need is that understanding and little bit of commitment.
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much for having me over. What an insightful narration you gave, Dr. Digambar Nayak. Amazing. Amazing. I only hope that the entire nation listens to this. Today, the kind of faith deficit, let me call trust deficit that they have in alternative systems is so high that nothing seems to be accepted, prima facie without some empirical evidence. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, we can.
So nothing is being accepted without having a huge empirical proof. But you yourself being a doctor, and you have not been dogmatic at all. You have accepted a protocol that was suggested by your colleagues, and now you are a testimony to this particular treatment. And so going forward, we're just trying to strategize how this message is going to reach the key people who are decision makers, who will perhaps take the right decision to ensure that it reaches masses. And very rightly, you said that nobody should die because of COVID.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Ma'am, can I just interject? There is enough empirical evidence that vitamin C works in any kind of sepsis. The reason it is not being used is because nobody can make money on it.
Absolutely.
If you use vitamin C, there would be no sale for remdesivir or any of the other things that they're trying to sell. This is a problem of. I've been using vitamin C for the last 10 years for various patients. I had used it in Jeslock, Bombay for sepsis. When was it used? When I was called up and said, hey, this is a patient, he's a VIP, he needs to be saved, otherwise we'll be in trouble. Nobody said they used vitamin C. I gave my stock of vitamin C, so I know how people behave when it comes to the medical establishment. I've been part of that.
Things like, let me give a layman perspective here. Allopathic doctors, historically, from my experience, have not believed in nutritional, support. So it's just now perhaps a lot of that is being done. So I stand corrected that, it may not be an alternative thing. It's something that has worked historically, and I think we will have to take it forward. It's just that you have to make a very strong case. You have to make a very strong case for it and have very loud voices like Dr. Nayak, and maybe a whole bunch of others who know that this works and have not so far taken a step forward to share it perhaps in a extensive way. So one is, let's build more credibility and more support and take it to the right people, and let's see if this can be incorporated into the treatment protocol at a national level.
Madam,
Lalit,
can I say
you need to
something?
unmute yourself. Lalit, next is you, Lalit. Yeah, please.
Yeah, there is sufficient credibility to this. It is a plain, simple vitamin. It costs least to the people, and it saves lives, and people can be all right without spending 4 or 5 lakhs that all of us keep on spending into these hospitals because of COVID today. All of us are spending 4 or 5 lakhs. I have spent 5 lakhs. We don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And we can save every life. That's what matters.
Lalit, it's your turn now.
Yeah, I'm really glad that Dr. Digambar Naik said that we can save every life. Not one person from my country should have died from this kind of disease, what is going around. I have seen pathetic conditions, the way people have gone through the entire pain of being breathless on a ventilator, then the relatives could not approach them. It was massive. It was very, very painful. I remember myself in an ICU when I lost my patients with my PPE kit, with my head on the floor and my knees on the floor. I was crying like a baby. What the hell is going on? In fact, I am so used to giving vitamin C in TB patients who have a similar kind of picture, the X-ray picture, the symptoms and all those kind of things. And it was really miraculous that this word called antioxidants came into the help of many people. My hospital, I am so blessed. Why I'm not in a private setup. My hospital is somewhere people bring their relatives to die. When they die, in fact, they say, thank you. Hum chhoot gaye, wo bhi chhoot gaya. So it was that kind of scenario where we started using this kind of things, where we have never been taught in the medical career something like free radicals, the oxidative stress and all those kind of things. And it gave me an opportunity to learn all these things. And there is nothing alternative about it. It is all there in the market. It is all there, which was taught to us. Only thing, the dosing was inappropriate, which was told to us. The dosing, when we changed on to give the best of the best effect, we came to know that the real dosing is something different. And when we started using in that kind of dosing, there is nothing called mega dosing or high dose or something like that. And it was told by many. And they want a trial to be. Who's stopping anybody from doing a trial? It is there. It is there to save lives over there. ICMR can take it up and do a trial with themselves. In fact, you don't even require to do a trial. You just type vitamin C on Google, not on an Android phone, but on the PC, and antioxidant, TB, COVID, millions and millions of paper are coming. And this thing was there since 1935. People knew about it for polio. Things what were being used. I mean, Dr. Frederick Klenner was documenting everything. 100% results in 50-80% if you start using this in a proper way. COVID, I know nobody should have died, and I agree fully about all these things. We should use very simple things like vitamin C, vitamin D, melatonin. What are these? These are nothing like. We have newer drugs, remdesivir, tocilizumab, and my contacts with the intensivists in the government hospitals here and there, when I was talking over there, they said, my God, the kind of adverse reaction, we are not getting the kind of results what was imbibed in her, that this is a miracle kind of things, all this thing, antivirals and all those things. I never used this thing. Not a single vial of remdesivir, not a single vial of tocilizumab, never gave plasma or something. In fact, my hospital is poor man's this thing. They can't afford, I know that. And we went on with this thing because of past experience, and the results were really good. I think if ICMR wants to do, they should do a trial. They should prove it to the world that India, my country, has done something like this. I was, stunned when I came to know just a week back or so, a country in shambles, Pakistan, did a good randomized clinical trial on honey and kalonji and all these things. And they had done it on a seriously. I am really stunned. A country like Italy, how small Italy is, what is the population of Italy? They did the autopsies and we were just covering the bodies and throwing it away. And the kind of scenario which has happened, the pains the patient went through, it is, this is a part of science, we lost it. All those kind of things. And there is entire science to all these things, what we are talking about. It is not new game. This was never invented by any of us. It was never discovered by any of us. It was already there in front of us. And in fact, when we say none of them should die, in fact, we made them die. We have to just tell it to people. I request you, madam, with folded hands, do something, save up countrymen's lives. Thank you.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, it is Lalit. It was amazing thing. Karuna, you'd like to add something?
Yeah, one question.
Because next time going to
one question.
Venugopal Gauriji next.
One question here. I just want to ask you, why is there so much resistance to using vitamin C? I heard stories where you spoke to the hospitals, you spoke to doctors, and they were resisting these higher doses. Is there some kind of a toxicity involved, or is there what is the reason why they said no to vitamin C?
Of that, ma'am, the reason why vitamin C is not being used is because modern medicine practices not by what is there on textbooks or what is taught by medicine. They practice by what are the recommendations that are made by organizations of doctors. So if this is the protocol that has been recommended, we follow that protocol. If we don't follow that protocol, we can be sued for malpractice. That is the issue.
Okay.
So when I use vitamin C in that large doses, I have to have an informed consent of the patient, where the patient signs that I may die with this and I'm okay to take it. So unless I take that informed consent, I can't do it. So most doctors don't want to get into that.
Okay, so now I get the picture now. So I get the picture now. So it's a risky proposition, especially looking at it from your side. And the doctors don't have it in the basic treatment protocol.
Exactly. And when I do it for COVID, okay?
Absolutely. When you do that because of some practical reasons, please, we want to listen to you, your experience and any message.
Namaskar to Dr. Saxena ji and Mrs. Karuna Gopal ma'am, Dr. Saji, and great physicians like Dr. Anande who are here. You could see, sir, the number of people who needed admission for that matter. Of course, we were taking only mild to moderate cases, and where the oxygen saturation was not below 90. And our aim was to see that the patient does not go into the next stage of illness, whichever he came with. And we have been able to successfully abort their need to get hospitalization in a significant number of people with the help of homeopathy and these supplements. We have the record of all these people.
Yeah. And I'd just like to, Venuji will add we'll keep some of the testimonials later. I would like to ask Dr. Lenny to come up with what we had gone through that. Lenny, please.
Yeah. Good evening. Sorry, I was interjecting when many of you were speaking, but this topic of COVID has been quite kind of very, very dear to me right from the time it started. Have been talking to a lot of friends across the world, but nothing could have prepared me when first Dr. Digambar was sick and I got that message from him and we started talking. That was shocking. That was too close for us, too close to my heart, or somebody who was really sick, and we had to do something about it. A lot of my patients have been taking vitamin C, both for prophylaxis as IV. A lot of my doctor friends, people whom I work with on a regular basis, because they used to see so many patients on an OPD basis, they should take vitamin C on a regular basis. Every week they should take 25 grams of vitamin C just for prophylaxis so that they wouldn't get it. None of them got COVID. But for me, the time when Dr. Digambar himself was in hospital and I was talking to him, I somehow contracted COVID myself. I don't know how. I can't still figure out how. I had seen patients on one day. I had seen 20 patients on that day, and then the next 3 days I was feeling lethargic. But I had a workshop that I was doing online, and I kept on doing that workshop. The only thing I had was lethargy for 1 week before a cough started, and then breathlessness. But I'd already started high dose vitamin C, and I think that was my savior. 10 days of vitamin C. My CT chest, which showed 14 by 25, and the physician treating me said, "I need to hospitalize you." I said, "You can't hospitalize me because then you won't give me vitamin C. I need to take it myself at home." So I kept treating myself at home, and in 10 days, exactly 10 days, 7 days after the CT, I was bereft of all symptoms that I was having, and nothing absolutely. 2 weeks later, exactly 2 weeks after the first X-ray and CT, my X-ray was clear. Now, this didn't end there. I was perfectly all right for 2 weeks after that. But what most people don't realize is many people who had problems with their lungs also have something known as a post-COVID syndrome. I never knew what a post-COVID syndrome was, but I had heard of it, and I had treated people with melatonin. I was taking melatonin myself. I was taking vitamin C myself. But I did get the post-COVID syndrome. I had severe headaches. No doctor knew what to do. 7 days. Nobody knew. I even phoned up Dr. Anand. I said, "Don't worry, it'll pass off. It looks like a COVID syndrome." I actually then decided to go back and listen to people who had spoken on this post-COVID syndrome. And they still speak of vitamin C, melatonin. They tell you to take a small dose of your steroid back, and they tell you to take omega-3. I was doing all of it. I had not started on a steroid. Just that steroid added to that vitamin C again, and my post-COVID syndrome vanished. It took me 10 days more of steroids, but my vitamin C still goes on. Because if you need to get rid of your post-COVID syndrome, you need to carry on taking that vitamin C once or twice a week, and I'm still doing it. And that was the advice I had got from people who use vitamin C across the world. Having said this, one of the first studies that was done in COVID, specifically in COVID, double-blind study was done in Malaysia. It was not published. It is currently published. Not a single patient in that study who took vitamin C ended up dying, whereas on the control group, 70% people died. This study was done only in ICU patients. So it does work in COVID. Unfortunately, that study has not been accepted by most major journals because it is vitamin C and they don't want to publish it. I think it's been published by a scientific journal, just published. It has just come out. I happen to see it, but it is available today, and it's the first one where a double-blind study was done in a proper hospital, corporate hospital. So there is a lot of empirical data that's available, a lot of data that is available that it works, a lot of mechanism of action, how it works has also been studied, and it's out there. Unfortunately, nobody wants to read it. I'm sorry to say this, nobody wants to read it. It's time that we doctors decide to employ it for our patients. That's it. We have to educate more than actually educate and go out and teach people that this works. It's only when your own person is dying and you give it, that's when people come and say that it works. Before this, it wouldn't have. Dr. Naik is a very good example of that. I'm sure he didn't think that vitamin C would have worked before he actually used it himself. Every doctor, when I used it for my parents for the first time, I didn't believe it. But when I used it and I saw it, it works. When you're taught in modern medicine teaches you in a particular way. It doesn't teach you to go and actually experiment and see what works. It teaches you that you have to follow certain norms, and that is what you need to follow. Unfortunately, that's not the way to teach patients, and this is what COVID has taught us all. I think all doctors should take this home as a lesson. Thank you.
Thanks, Mani.
COVID-19 is representing as an autoimmune reaction. So this is 100% autoimmune reaction, how it represents. That is the reason that because in regular allopathy of any kind of autoimmunity or autoimmune reaction, we don't have answers. So that is why people are having, a lot of doubts about it and a lot of, hesitancy in approving these protocols. It's more or more like any autoimmune disease that it represents. Because if we look at from day one, it is interfering with, with interleukin-6 and on any kind of autoimmune disease. So to start with, in allopathy, we don't have many answers for any kind of autoimmune disease. So we are a kind of integrative physicians that we have achieved successful results in our own practices in treating many autoimmune diseases. So that is the bottom line, where we can't say this is alternative or any kind of, alternative medicine. Because this is a revolutionary thing that COVID-19 is presenting as any autoimmune disease. That's why it's representing on the D-dimer and the interleukin-6 and any kind of factors that you can take. Now, why vitamin C, why vitamin D, and why melatonins are working as these are antioxidants, which works on any kind of autoimmune disease. I want to make it that a clarity here, and I can forward a lot of papers here that we are physicians who are having successful stories of our own in treating many of the common protocol with many doctors here in Hyderabad. The protocol is going on in Gandhi as we speak. And it is successful, and it is successful as of now. I can't release, and it is going in the ethics committee on vitamin D. Here I'm talking only on vitamin D. Yes, Dr. Nair and Dr. Lalitanand, everybody's working on vitamin C. Here we are working on vitamin D, madam. Okay. So we, in a week time, this published, double-blinded published protocol will be out of what we did in Gandhi, in vitamin D, which worked in COVID protocol, and we will share it. It is just in the last stages of publishing together, and I cannot, my hands are tied up due to the ethics committee that I cannot release the data as of today. But it's a matter of time that we are putting all this in these. It's all over the world, it is. Unfortunately, as the doctors were saying, it is very, it is affordable, it is cheap, and it is treatable. Again, it comes to the same thing.
I think the bottom line, yeah. I understand. Yeah. In fact, I don't know who it was, but they went on asking about the price of a homeopathic medication, repeatedly. So I think I get the picture. Yes.
So it's a world, no. it's a global studies.
There is one more doctor, cardiologist. This is the second cardiologist who wants to share his experience from Delhi. He is none other than Alok Chopra ji. Doctor, all yours.
Dr. Saxena.
Yeah, we have some more time, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, Alok ji, go ahead.
So what I wanted to say was that I have been practicing mostly, non-invasive cardiology for a long time. I've come into the functional medicine scene recently, and I have had, numerous help from Dr. Saxena, Dr. Lenny, and Dr. Digambar, in all these ways, and they guide us and help us in every way, every other day. I wanted to record the incidents of two patients, both who used to do that COVID test too early after a small cold or a small throat upset, and it was turning negative. Then one day, both of them in 2 consecutive days came to me or told me that the saturation is dropped to below 80. And again, in small nursing homes, not mine, I have a hospital of my own, but I am not allowed to do COVID work there. We gave them vitamin C, and with great results. But what I saw was that they were not suffering from active COVID disease, because the CT picture clearly showed a classical post-COVID syndromes. And, I started to differentiate between ground glassing in a CT leading to fibrosis or not fibrosis versus a reticular formation. And the response to the reticular formation in the CT responded very well to not just vitamin C, but to NAC given IV as well as on nebulization, and as Lenny also described and Dr. Saxena also described, very, very high doses of melatonin. So,
Yeah, we have one more doctor here, Dr. Renu Matani. She has done her video initially.
This is all I wanted to convey, that because Lenny brought up the subject of post-COVID syndrome. We have tend to ignore it. In fact, one of my patients who actually got back against my advice to do over-exercising actually died while running on a treadmill. So, this post-COVID syndrome is sometimes more sinister than the COVID because people tend to ignore it because it's all over. So I just wanted to make a point
that that's a great point.
Post-COVID syndrome will require the same thing, the same vitamin C, the same N-acetylcysteine, melatonin, all, and the injectable and nebulized NAC has worked as well. Thanks to all our friends who I mentioned.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
If Dr.
mentioned with a proper intention. I think one of the most important multi-centric trial is now happening in Australia, in Melbourne, Austin Health. And I am also maybe a part of their work also. They are giving high dose of vitamin C for a multi-centric trial, and maybe it is also being done in various other countries. Maybe that can come as one of the most authentic scientific report, because you have to study from all sorts. Because one of the problem is if it is not being financed in research, you cannot do all the test pre and post and all these things, especially which has got a very big testimonial backing up. But in COVID, I can say that, because even though I am not directly involved, I have seen a lot of doctors, lot of team, not only in India but also in different hospitals and also abroad are doing it. So it has got a very big say in the modern. And maybe in the upcoming area, especially I am also managing post-COVID mental disease, especially with especially Lenny was talking about vitamin C and other things in the post-COVID. Because the most important area where the people are...
These 2 points, in fact, this is the clarification I wanted. When you said you are giving kidney and liver support, that makes enormous sense, because lots of times people have heard them saying that they might actually cause calcification or whatever. Each one made very valid points, and points that perhaps were different, but when you aggregate those, you will make a very strong case for administering heavy doses of vitamin C. And as I see it, I'm very hopeful. I listened to Dr. Sudha, so let's wait for that short window of time we have, like 7 to 10 days. While that gets ready, maybe all of us who've had our experiences, like I just heard, starting with Dr. Digambar Nayak, Dr. Lalite, all of you have treated patients. You yourself have conquered COVID. It's important to put together your experiences, and Dr. Venugopal Gauri, we as a family are beneficiaries of his treatment, and Dr. Saxena too. I mean, together you have done miracles, and perhaps that's the reason why I'm here. So if you can aggregate that data, each one of you can supply the data right now what we have, and we'll aggregate that, and a few of us might want to travel to Delhi and make a presentation, because as I see it, so they will be more open to a protocol which is perhaps more curative. There we're talking about preventive protocol, but here it's more curative. People are already infected and we are pulling them out quickly, so they might be a little open to the idea. And since the risk factor is very less, every point made by, let's say, Dr. Lenny or Dr. Chopra, everything has an enormous amount of value. So the first thing what we should do now is to get data, whoever has been working, be it qualitative and be it quantitative. Because I have seen situations where in disaster management, like in a country as huge as India with more than 1.3 billion people, you cannot really do empirical studies and wait for that, especially for a megadose of, a nutritional supplement, let's say, which has absolutely no side effects. So we should be able to push the agenda forward. And in cases where disasters happen, they don't wait for huge data to crunch data and use, modeling tools and techniques. But I have seen in computer science, there is what we call as fuzzy logic. So it follows a protocol, a heuristic way of working, artful way of solving problems. So I think this is what we should make a case for. And I'll try my best, maybe representing all of you. You're all technical experts, but I can lead the delegation. We go to Delhi, make a case for it, and let's see how this can be implemented. And I'm hopeful that if not at a national level, maybe Uttar Pradesh, like a Yogi Adityanath, will be certainly open to taking this up and implementing, because there some of the states are extremely agile. They're very agile, they are experimentative, and they understand that agility is the key in solving these problems. And as the young scientist Vemuri was saying, some very important things have been left out, like for instance, the autopsies. And I think, was it Dr. Anandi who talked about Italy having gone ahead and having done it? So a lot to do, a lot more to do, but your collective work in putting vitamin C as an agent for giving a cure to COVID has to be taken forward, and I don't see a great reason for resistance. And Dr. Sri Kumar very beautifully said that lack of funding. I think funding is a major problem that it's been seeing, but right now let's not really wait for anything. We'll put in our efforts, and as I said, in a situation like this, they can't wait for empirical studies or huge data or huge modeling tools. We need to go ahead and try and convince. I'll do my bit. I'm not a leader yet.
It is because whatever we have been starting. Pratiksha, you want to talk something?
Yeah. I just wanted to just add one thing that Ms. Karuna had talked about accumulating the data. I am not a medical, helped in improving the parameters of the patients. So I don't have data, but yeah, data accumulation and data interpretation is something that I can offer from my side. So if everybody is okay and if they can share the pre and post treatment data with me, I'll try to make a report out of it and submit it to you as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you. I think that's a great offer. Sounds good. Yeah. So thanks to Dr. Saji. I mean, he's been in touch, and he started it very well. And I just saw he's from ISRO, and what a great composition of doctors with from multiple locations you have come, and with specialties. I think it's a great group, and I think collective effort is required, and we'll try to make a case for it, which I'm sure, let's hope, given it is a very a generous offer from all of you, it should fly. So I take leave at that time. Namaste.
Thank you very much.